The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com.
Pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about comic books, costumes, facts, boots, and other stuff.
In this week's issue, Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, I mean, at least you know one of them.
Welcome into Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I am Zach, joined by, or as always, by the marvelous, the mythic man himself.
I don't know about that, but
Mr. Mike.
I am happy to be here.
Hey,
How about that?
yeah. Well, we're happy to have
look,
you here.
I'm going to do my impression of every person who plays in a bowl game.
Okay.
Here we go. Right?
I feel like you.
All I did was look down and look back up.
Yeah, I feel like you've made this joke before.
I have made this joke before, but we are in the bowl season.
I think
And
if you go back and listen to our episodes, if you listen to the very end on one of them, maybe Hellboy, I don't know, maybe it was one of it. You made that joke.
I'm
No, it was
sure.
Batman because you were
sure I
like
did.
Batman, Ohio State that I left in there.
Batman, Ohio State. The Ohio
State University.
The Gotham University.
We are in the nearing the twilight of bowl season, but also a new year here on Bros, Foes, and Heroes. And I came up with an idea based off of something that actually happened, Mike, that I don't think you know the story of.
I do not.
Some other people might not know of. I've always found it very fascinating, and it will lead to us this year covering what might be the worst comic ever.
Oh.
But we're going to get story of what led to that, and we are going to have episodes dedicated to that story. Other people have covered it. We will cover it for ourselves.
Very nice.
But what happened was...
What had happened was...
with us starting the new year, I wanted us to do something kind of fun and cool, and I came up with this idea based off of, in a way, something that happened to Marvel back in the early 2000s. And what happened was there was a contest that they ran that was called You Decide, and this was in 2002, Mike. So just to give a little backstory, and then I'll tell how it relates to what we're going to do. By the way, we're a comic book podcast. I should, I guess, state that, like, you know, in the first 30 seconds here. Usually each week, Mike and I break down either a comic book story, comic book character, look at the first appearances, other stories, things like that, and talk about some of the history and just fun stuff. And then we will obviously get lost on a tangent or two along the way.
What?
I like to talk about some history of things that go on through this too, because I find it very fascinating. But back in 2001, Captain Marvel was a book that was being sold for $2.25, Mike. It was being written by Peter David.
2001, it was $2.25.
Yeah, $2.25.
Wow. Okay.
It was written by Peter David, who a lot of people know is a very well thought of comic book writer and creator. He had a 12-year run on the Incredible Hulk. Like, I think that
I loved his writing on Seinfeld.
That's Larry.
Oh.
But also I think like Spider-Man 2099's Peter David. He's done a lot of stuff. So he was writing the book at the time and brought it up in his blog. Well, I guess, okay. History lesson real quick. During this time at Marvel, the main guy in charge is a guy by the name of Bill Jemas. Bill Jemas is instituting him along with he makes Joe Quesada editor-in-chief. They bring in a lot of changes to Marvel that kind of help bring them out of bankruptcy because they're in bankruptcy at the time. It includes I remember that. Selling off some of the film rights to like Spider-Man, X-Men, things like that. Also, that's when they kind of embraced the whole trade paperback thing and started reprinting stuff, and were able to kind of lift things up. They also got rid of the comics code for a little bit to be able to print like edgier kind of stories at a time, and they created an imprint that was like Marvel Knights was something they did. They had a Max line, which was for like more mature content and stuff like that. So they made a lot of different strides and changes that helped like Marvel come out of the lull they were in.
Yeah, there was a time there where you thought Marvel was going to go away.
Yeah. And so, but Bill Jemas isn't necessarily a comic book guy. Like he worked in magazines. He worked in, I think he might have worked at like for Fleer, like the trading card company and stuff like that. I think maybe he even worked for, I don't remember how he bounced around, but still, not a comic book guy. So sometimes when not a comic book guy who's never written like comic stories tells you like, hey, you should change your story and do it this way, there's usually a lot of pushback by creatives that way.
Could be, yeah.
Mark Waid, who I absolutely love, who wrote Kingdom Come and who's written a lot of fantastic stuff, but that's just my favorite story of his, has a story about how like Jemas came to him while he was writing Fantastic Four and wanted him to move the family out to the suburbs, like wanted to turn Reed into just like this genius scientist who like kind of like a bumbling scientist who kept creating these crazy inventions to try to sell to make money. Like they're living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. Stuff like that. Like, Sue was going to be like a secretary for somebody.
It would be like Honey, I Shrunk the Children is what it would be like.
I haven't seen that movie
because he was kind of a scientist, a tinkerer.
Yeah. Rick Moranis.
Suburbs,
and like Sue was going to be a secretary that whenever her boss was looking for her, she turned invisible to get away. Like, kooky family shenanigans for the I think I saw a comment refer to him as he had the persona of a bladder infection, which I thought was wow. But yeah, that's pretty harsh. Anyway, so
I like it,
a lot of people didn't necessarily like how
I get it.
Getting like notes from somebody who wasn't in that world.
Sure. That happens.
Well, when they raise, Bill Jemas had a blog. All these people
sometimes happens in government. I don't know if you know this or not, but
that's
people
true.
From the outside come in and go, "Oh, let's just fix it all by doing this."
Yeah. Very much that was the time. The sign of the times.
Yeah.
All three of these guys, Bill Jemas, who was the president, I'm going to look up name. Editor-in-chief was Joe Quesada, and Peter David was the writer then for Captain Marvel at the time. So Bill Jemas had a blog, everybody had like these like online blogs or like newsletters and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was the sign of the times, the early 2000s.
Absolutely. Kind of when podcasting got its deal too, because RSSs that were hooked up to blogs and stuff like that.
Yep. So while he was there, he always like referred to like the resurgence they went on at the time, comic book sales wise. Like I think Batman is always been or has been for a long time, not always, but DC's most popular book was still only doing half of what anything that had the like Ultimates imprint or an X in the title was doing for Marvel at the time. Like they were just slaughtering the competition at DC. Yeah. And so he posed a question of like what he should do to some of these in these books getting DC numbers. And one of these books was Captain Marvel that was still selling like 23,000 units, but it wasn't on par with what everything else was.
Yeah, sure.
So they were going to raise it a quarter. And Peter David himself says, if you do that, you're going to cancel the book essentially. Like people, it's already
raising it by a quarter.
His argument was it already has a niche enough audience.
Oh, yeah.
That if you raise it, you're showing it that you're telling them like, hey, you're going to need to pay more. And also we don't know what to do with this. We're worried about how it's selling. Yeah. Like, they react to the price. And he pointed out that Marvel not having a great track record of giving things time to kind of breathe, that fans were so used to things being canceled. They won't want to pay the extra money because, it's just going to get canceled anyway. Why invest into it? So he made a point then Peter David did on his blog about how he would do as a labor of love, essentially all of Captain Marvel for the price of $20.99. so that they could break even on everything. That like he was making this grand, like, you know.
So this is during this is during the 2099 stuff.
No, this is during the early 2000s while he's writing Captain Marvel.
Yeah, but I'm saying why 2099?
$20.99.
Yeah.
I don't. It was like so many cents a page rate of what it came out to. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Okay.
For the whole book, like he was like such a limited page rate of writing for him to do. Like if they were having such a hard time breaking even on Captain Marvel, and he argued that, you know, they would never pitch anything. Like he took time to write this like multi-title or like, you know, property spanning like event for them to not even promote it at all. And he was like, why? You know, he was like, yet the Avengers, who is already sixth in sales, you know, you're okay with us promoting the hell out of that, but not promoting other things that he promoted. So he made this thing of like, I'll do it for this price so you can break even on, you know, like this whole kind of grand gesture. It led to, I'm going to break up the story in pieces too, to go along with what we're doing here.
That was awful cool of him though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it riled, like, of course, Marvel's not going to be like, no, we're not going to, you know, they had to say something.
Yeah. Sure.
And we're not going to do that. It led to an idea from Bill Jemas. And we're going to get more into this idea and the three titles of things like this that happen, but it's leading to what we're doing here on the show. And he came up with the idea of what it kind of evolved and expanded into was this thing in 2002 called You Decide, where Peter David would kind of soft relaunch Captain Marvel, starting with issue 1. Joe Quesada would be the editor for a book that Ron Zimmerman ended up writing. Ron Zimmerman writer for the Howard Stern show.
Okay.
Right. See, we're gonna get into a lot of this to break down the whole contest. Who wrote a story called Ultimate Adventures, which parallels Batman an awful lot, oddly enough. And then Bill Jemas, the man who never wrote a comic book at all,
parallels Batman with what character though?
No, I'm sorry. It's just like it's like Batman essentially. It's like Marvel Batman is the character they create, is what it feels like.
Okay.
We'll kind of get into these like all more at different times. I'm trying to pepper in history while I explain what we're doing to start off the new year. And then Bill Jemas was going to do a book that he, you know, created it was called The Marvel at first, or Marvels, but it ended up becoming called Marville, like Ville. Marville.
So like a town?
Yeah. And that may very well be what many people consider the worst comic book of all time.
Really?
It got 7 issues. It was all the contest. The contest. Well, the contest was they were going to do it all. Each of these books got 6 issues, and whichever one sold the most would get to continue. And they were going to cancel the others. Okay. But also, like, somebody was going to take a pie in the face, or somebody was going to get dunked at Wizard World, or, you know, Wizard Con, one of the conventions. And it just felt like this big deal. But we'll break down the titles that are in there. But that led me to my own, let's do a You Decide for our channel.
Ooh.
So what I've found is 3 number 1 issues.
Get ready for the worst episode ever.
No, 2 DC, 1 Marvel.
Yeah.
Of things from kind of around the same time. I think we have an 88. The one we're covering today is from 1990, and the other one's from 1993. We're going to start off with issue 1s, and when it's all said and done, I say we just like either open it up to a vote, or if nobody cares enough to vote, then I'll just let you tell me out of those 3.
I love it.
What one actually deserves, and we'll break down that a little bit more later on. If you are
listening to this, please vote.
So
when we get done with this.
Yeah, well, so we're going to do 1 each week until we've presented the 3.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we'll go there. So our issue today,
baby. Let's go.
Now that we've got it, our issue today is Guardians of the Galaxy, Mike.
Love me some Guardians of the Galaxy. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
These are not the same folks.
Do you know any of these Guardians of the Galaxy?
Silver Surfer.
That's not Silver Surfer.
Okay, then no.
That's a guy by the name of Martin X.
Wait, let me look. I don't know any of those people, and they're badly drawn.
You know one. I did find this is the scan from the 90s, so that's why it looks.
Yeah,
I love stuff that looks faded and things like that. But
I'm not even talking about that. Like their heads are squished.
Well, the guy with the bow, is Yondu.
Oh, is it really?
That's Michael Rooker's character.
Oh, okay.
So hey, at least one.
All right, great.
That's it. So I did some research. The Guardians of the Galaxy were created back in 1967.
Okay.
Roy Thomas Gene Colan and Arnold Dean, I believe.
Arnold Palmer.
This is great when I
Type-y,
look
type,
it up,
type,
but
type-y,
I just
type,
want to
type,
make sure
type,
that
type,
I
type,
credit
type,
people
type,
who
typity,
I
type.
need to. But they appeared in a like one of the Marvel like adventures number 18. I think about 10 years later in 76. Sorry, they appeared first in January 1969 in Marvel Superheroes number 18.
What'd you say the Silver guy is?
Roy Thomas, Arnold Drake, Gene Colan.
What'd you say the Silver guy name is?
Martin X.
Martin X?
Martin X.
Okay, I'm going to guess at a couple of these. All right.
So, well, I'll tell you the original team. Do I still have the cover up there? Yeah, okay. The original team consisted of, I already told you, Yondu.
Well, hang on. The big one? That's Lunkhead.
No.
What's his name?
Charlie 27.
Okay. The girl in the low cut thing flying around
up top. There's two low cut things.
That is Jessica
Alita, I believe her name is.
Same thing. The one in the middle with the weird flower coming out of its head is Petunia. The one that's flying right in the middle there between Lunkhead and Jessica.
Oh no, that's Starhawk.
Sure. And then down at the bottom, the one where her head's on fire.
Yeah.
Her name is Fireball.
Nikki.
Sure. And then the guy who has energy coming out of his forehead is Vision 2. This time it's personal.
Close. Major Vance Astro.
Oh, it's very close.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but Guardians of the Galaxy was created there in 69, and the original team was actually Vance Astro, Charlie 27, Martin X, and Yondu. So four of the ones there in 1990 are from the original lineup. They appear in a couple stories, and then they kind of disappear and pop back up in like 75. And they have like, I guess, 11, 12 issue run in 75.
Tell me again the year of this?
1990.
Okay, 90. Okay.
And then they fade away after, like, I think Steve Gerber did some of the writing for Guardians of the Galaxy in the 70s.
Baby food fame?
No, of Howard the Duck fame.
Oh.
So
the movie Howard the Duck?
No,
the comic book.
The comic book character.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I saw the other day, which is the weirdest thing I've seen as far as content goes. I was on YouTube, which I seem to be all the time now. It was a video that somebody had made of these 3D animated versions of Marvel characters walking next to each other, just so you could see their height.
Oh, okay.
When it gets to where I'm watching that, I need to find something else to do.
Well,
that's rough.
That
is rough.
That's your doing, Mike. I can't say. So,
the algorithm hates me.
1989, after they disappear in like 76. 1989, editor-in-chief then of Marvel, Tom DeFalco goes, man, and I'm paraphrasing here, but this is what from my understanding is like,
man, I love
hey,
that
man,
meathead. Put him on the cover.
Man, you know, Star Trek Next Generation is doing bonkers numbers, man. We should probably revive Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So they're working on this idea when
and this is the team they came up with.
Well, they're working on a new idea when Jim Valentino kind of pitches to DeFalco, like, hey, why don't we just reuse, like, I have this idea for a story of using everything that's already kind of come before it. And he's like, all right, yeah, go ahead with it. And this run goes on for like 60 plus issues. So if this is the one that we're not going to dive into all of it, but obviously we can dive into a little bit more. What this first issue does, though, is if you want to know about the previous Guardian adventures, that's cool. You're going to. If you also want to be really confused by it, you're going to be too. But I'll let it speak for itself. This was released in April of 1990, the 17th, if you wanted to be exact, with the cover date of June. Writer and penciler, so he did the writing and the art, was Jim Valentino. Inker for this was Steve Montano. Colorist Evelyn Stein. The letterer was Ken Lopez, and editor at the time was Craig Anderson. So let's dive into our story today. Guardians of the Galaxy #1, the first cosmic issue from 1990. We see the Guardians battling this giant, like, a machine. It's like a weird type war machine.
Do we?
Yeah, that's what that is there.
Okay.
But we get introduced to each one. Here's the thing. So this is the way it's split it up. This is a 2-page spread.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go back and forth.
Sure.
But I'll introduce you to our team here. So on the top left, we have Starhawk.
Taserface.
Who is also, he was in one of the movies, I think. But we have Starhawk, who is also a Lita. I'll explain that later. Starhawk he wields the powers of light, and he shares his physical being with Alita. He is an enigmatic mutant from the planet of Arcturus.
Arcturus.
So
God bless you.
It also he has a nickname which is a little confusing to me because it says, but he shares the secret of being one who knows with no one. His nickname is One Who Knows. Don't know what, but it's one who knows. Then we're shown down in the bottom left there is Charlie 27, who is genetically engineered to withstand 11 times the gravity of Earth.
11 times the gravity.
Yep. With the strength and mass that goes with it, he's the pilot, right? And the military strategist. Yeah. Your Silver Surfer guy is Martin X. Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all.
He's a silicone-celled master of thermal energy.
Boy, aren't we all.
And he is the sole survivor of Earth's colony on Pluto. Okay. He can emit blasts. Here's how it sees. He can emit blasts of searing heat from his right hand and numbing cold from his left hand.
What?
So he shoots out fire from his right, and he shoots out ice from his left.
Okay.
There. That's his power.
So he cancels out.
He's the guardian scientist, right? He's the guy on board that's the scientist of the group. Up in the top, then, we have Nikki, who is the last child of Earth's Mercury colony.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was wondering.
Oh, I should also explain, I didn't at the beginning. We are in the year 3017 AD. Okay. So we're in the future.
Okay.
3017 AD.
3017 AD.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Now Nikki has the agility of her limbs is exceeded only by the unerring skill of her marksmanship and the sting of her sarcasm. She's the comic
anytime
relief
you
kind
have
of.
to write in that someone has stinging sarcasm.
Well, she says, yeah. So who died and made you boss, Starhawk?
Yeah, Starhawk.
I say that it's very much in tune with what 90s stinging sarcasm was. But it says that she is the Guardian's navigator and technical weapons expert.
Okay.
So the guy down there in the bottom right with the energy out of his head is Major Vance Astro. I'm just introducing you to all of our characters
Major
here.
Vance Astro. Well known.
He is the first Earthman to the stars, last survivor of the 20th century. This man is over 1,000 years old. We don't get into like how, but he's old.
What?
His body is forever seethed inside that his silver and black metal suit that preserves his life. He is the master of the mutant power of psychokinesis is what he has. I guess that's what he's shooting out of his.
Move stuff with your brain.
And then at the very bottom is our friend Yondu.
That is who'd you say Meathead is?
Charlie 27.
That big guy?
Yeah, that's Charlie 27.
Stuff? Okay.
And then Yondu we see.
What is Charlie 27's deal? He
can withstand 11 times the gravity of Earth with the strength and mass that goes with it.
Oh.
So he's also the military strategist and the pilot. Yondu is the last son of Earth's only extrastellar colony, Centauri 4, a primitive mystic and ancient weapons master. His weapon of choice, the whistle responsive Yaka arrow.
That thing
so even since the 90s. Yep.
Yeah.
I will say, I didn't know this obviously because I didn't know the character until I went back to read this. He is very much like supposed to be like a Native American character.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
You'll see kind of when we get into this.
That kind of fits, I guess.
It does. Vance
I did not get that from the movies.
No, not at all. Vance Astro decides to steal a line from the Thing.
Who in the hell is saying it's clobbering time?
Vance Astro. That's what I'm telling you. He says his line is, "All right then, everyone, on my mark," or as Benjamin J. Grimm used to say, "It's clobbering time." You're going to find out why, though. These characters have a lot of interactions with those Marvel characters.
Okay.
So they kill the warship, and it sends a little beacon off of like, oh, something's like affected this. And it alerts a guy named, he goes, and they will die at the hands of Taserface. Another very 90s name.
Taserface.
Right? So Taserface, they get to this land.
Oh, it's nice of him taking care of these puppy people.
Well, so they're on this planet called Kurge, which is where they defeated this machine, or that's how I'm going to say it.
Okay.
And for some reason, the people are like scared of the Guardians, and one of them thinks like they're there to like hurt their pup. Yeah, and so like a man dives out of the crowd at Yondu with a knife to try to like keep him from hurting his people, and Yondu kind of diffuses the situation and judo throws him, but he's kind of shooken up by this. So he and Martin X go back to the ship because they're like, we can't find the clue that we were looking for here.
I don't like the plastic guy.
Martin X?
I don't like him.
Well, we find out that they're here like
too many colors.
There should be some clue here that they're looking for. Like the book said it was here.
Okay.
When we're trying to figure out what this is. So Martin X and Yondu touch the star. You want to talk about how Star Trek The Next Generation is big? It says they press the stars upon their chests and their atoms separate into light rays, only to reassemble seconds later, natural forms on their starship. Their starship is called Freedom's Lady.
Oh, Freedom's Lady.
It's their second starship. Their first one, you want to guess what it was called, Mike?
Freedom's Man.
Captain America.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's gross.
Was destroyed a couple of years ago. So Charlie and Nikki.
Why is there a picture of somebody having an orgasm down in the bottom left-hand corner or right-hand corner?
That's what I'm getting to. That's when Starhawk turns into Alita.
Look at her face.
Dude, that's exactly what I thought when I read this. It was.
Face, yeah.
I was like, everybody wants to get at Greg Land for like tracing porn for like Sue Storm and stuff like this. Like that does look like. Yeah, no, he's that other.
That. Huh.
I mean, maybe not for Sue. Like you can just go back and look at his faces. You should look up stuff on Greg Land.
She looks very
A lot
happy.
of people don't. She does.
Yeah.
And he looks very angry. Look at the face he's making. Yeah. It's kind of like
if you look at the two standing there, they are having telekinetic sex, is what they're doing.
Look at them both in the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're both just giving it all they got. They're gonna shoot magic and power all over the place.
Nikki and Charlie 27 have some weird flirty energy going on, but they're still looking for like Vance Astro's like, we got to find this clue. And he's like, I want that shield.
So he shares a body with this person?
So yeah, so Starhawk transforms into Alita.
Changes.
It says he closes his eyes to concentrate and feels them melt within their sockets. His atoms liquefy, flowing into one another. And like a butterfly in its is it chrysalis? Yeah, and its chrysalis rearranged their configuration. And where once Starhawk stood, now stands Alita. And she goes, free again, which is a weird thing to yell out as you climax, but that's obviously what she's doing.
Here's my thing on it. Okay. It's not that they're sharing the same body.
I get what they're going for here.
No,
it's just fun. I get what they're going for.
What I don't get is you have to change into the girl with the big thighs and the big tits, to you know what I'm saying? I mean,
the thing I don't know is why she's wearing a costume.
Well,
like, why doesn't she just turn like into like a lab coat or something?
Amorphous blob, and it can be both people. You know what I mean?
Oh, so there's like a stage in between that's just the blob.
The only thing I'm seeing is you put a girl with big tits out there because you're drawing a comic.
Well, here's the thing. Hear me out. Maybe look at how he's drawn. It just rearranges and like splits into two for.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Anyway,
I don't see his boots going up to his crotch.
So Martin X is ready to leave the ship, and he's like, come on, Yondu, it's time to go. And he's like, I hate barging in on him when he's praying, but he distrusts technology so much that he refuses to have an intercom installed in his room. And he's like, Yondu, and Yondu's like, yeah, I heard you, Martin X. He's like, come in here and like sit by the fire. The spirits of Anthos flow strong this day. And Martin X comes, he's like, I told you, Yondu, I don't believe in this. And Yondu tells him, you don't have to believe to see. And he like throws stuff into the fire, right?
Yeah.
And I will say this, I like that they're tying everything together. I've always been a big fan of like keeping continuity going.
Sure.
And so this is, 23 years, in the past at this point, but that is the original team right there of the Guardians of the Galaxy first appearing in 1969.
That is what the original team was.
Yeah, those four right there.
Okay.
Of Vance Astro, Charlie 27, Martin X, and Yondu are the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
I hate all of them.
So, but Martin X is telling him all these visions he sees, and he talks about like, hey, I remember this is like from our first vision. And what they do is they give you all these flashbacks to kind of tell you the group's story to this point.
It's your exposition.
Exactly.
But flashbacks. Yeah,
He's
I
like,
get it.
oh, the Brotherhood of the Badoon had, conquered
Brotherhood
all of our
of the
solar
Badoon.
system, committed genocide on our race. And wait, the image is changing. Oh, and then there was 7 years later, which coincidentally is the jump from when they first appeared in 69 to the series that they had in 76.
Okay.
So he's using obviously the stories that came before them as their history.
Captain America.
He was like, the Thing and the legendary Captain America came to our era to help us liberate New York City. And they just talk about then all of their different adventures
shows up.
They've kind of been on, which is great if you're trying to get into this, but some of it's confusing.
Batgirl. Oh wait, maybe
no, Batgirl's not here. This is Marvel. And it's like we brought them back with us to help our fight. Like they're talking about all the interactions they've had. They're like, we picked up Nikki at some point in time.
Go back one, right above that box that says we brought them back with us or whatever. Who is that with the red cape?
Doctor Strange?
No, in between Doctor Strange and
I have
the
no
Hulk.
clue. Wonder Man, maybe?
That's who I thought was Batgirl.
Oh, no. Oh,
like
down
from
at the
back
bottom?
here, it kind of looks like Batgirl.
I have no clue.
Anyway, all right.
My eyes aren't that great. I can't.
All right, what's Firehead doing?
There just talks about how they picked her up along the way.
Got it.
And then they talk about how like Thor came. Oh, here we go. This was weird because it says, now I'm seeing the deaths of Starhawk and Alita's children. It was horrifying. They crumbled to dust right before our eyes. We didn't see Alita for a long time after that, and she never forgave Starhawk for not saving them. You want to know more about that? Too bad. The next thing is it's shifting again. And now, like, what?
Her kid's dusty and dirt.
Hold on. He had kids with himself?
Yeah.
Like, that's what?
Yeah, but that's not the weirdest thing to me.
That the kids turning into dust?
That's not the thing that's the weirdest to me at this point. Yeah.
Then they talk about how they got called to help the Avengers try to battle
who are they fighting there?
The Neo-God Korvac.
Yeah, that's why he looks so familiar.
Yeah, and then it goes, he called himself Michael the Enemy.
Oh, Michael the Enemy.
That is your new name, Michael the Enemy. On Wednesday, that's how I'm introducing you.
Is he related to Michael the Enemy?
I don't think so.
Wasn't he a running back?
Eric
the Enemy.
So coach. Yeah, he was a coach then too. But so all we're getting is all these like flashbacks of all their previous adventures that they've been on. Like Starhawk got to work with Spider-Man. Oh, there's that one time that like he left that Starhawk left us to resurrect Adam Warlock, and that didn't work out.
I was gonna say I thought that was Adam Warlock.
Yeah, and then they're like, and then there's that one time where in Sagittarius, New York, Vance had returned to his boyhood home to try and talk his younger counterpart out of becoming an astronaut and thereby changing his own destiny. He didn't, of course. He only awoke the boy's latent psychokinesis power and created an alternate reality in the process. I've often wondered whatever became of that other Vance Astro. Don't worry, underneath it says, he became Marvel Boy and can be seen every month in the pages of the New Warriors. How's that for a sneaky plug? So it says down there. Okay. We get some more.
Hey.
Yeah.
You know what? This is not good. That's what I'm saying.
I could have gone into more detail and explained it better, I guess. Like some of this is probably on me.
It's not your explanation. I promise you.
But then they talk about this book that they found in a chapter that spoke of a brightly colored disc that would grant its professor invincibility in battle. And they figured that it was just one of the people's like superstitions that Yondu's people had. But Vance Astro's like, no, this is Captain America's shield. We're going to find Captain America's shield. So the disc that they're looking for, it's just because you can't see his silver because he's wearing that sweater that he rolled the sleeves up on.
Okay.
This is formal Vance Astro.
I got you. Sure.
Can the man not just kick back and relax every now and then when he's trying to hunt down Captain America's shield?
Go have a nice scotch. Some oysters. Man.
So they realize that they see all that, and Martin X is like, well, what is that? That doesn't do anything for me. And he's like, every one of our major victories has involved that era, like those heroes of that era. Sure. So maybe we're linked to the heroes of the past.
Or maybe
and he's like, no, I don't see that. And Yondu tells him like Captain America, the Thing, the Avengers, and now this shield. And Martin X is like, nah, come on, Yondu. Like, we're not linked to that.
Simmons?
It reminds me of Bill Hader and Stefan, my son. And so They put out the fire and they leave and they head back to the planet they were just on to see, oh, hey, Alita, you're back there too.
How do you not hate that right angle face of his? Look at that.
It is very just blocky.
It's very blocky, and I don't like the way the colors hit it, and I don't like the fact that his forehead has a big sale marker on it with no 99 cents in the middle of it.
So Martin X gets back and tells him, like, hey, we're in the right place that the book said we should be at. But once again, like, there's no trace of this clue that we're supposed to be here to find.
What is this motion he's making?
He's just like, like he's just angry. But he's like, just like all the other worlds we've been on to, if you ask me. And Vance Astro looks at Martin X and goes, yeah, I know you think this is a wild goose chase, but there's an explanation. What if somebody else is looking for this too, and they're just one step ahead of us?
What if
like,
I
that's
love
what
geese?
he tells them. What if?
What if I love geese?
And he's like, it could be another Centaurian, and that's why they like attacked Yondu like that. Centaurian. Centaurian.
Yeah.
And about that time, don't worry, our big baddie shows up. There's Taserface, and he wants to attack them for trespassing. And he shoots this laser beam out at Vance Astro, and it sends the 1,000-year-old man just sprawling off. Charlie 27 goes to try to tackle Taserface, but you know what? Boom, Charlie 27 gets another blast to his chest, and he's down too. Yondu just shoots his arrow that misses Taserface. Taserface kind of laughs, but then, he does the same thing, the fingers on both sides, and it kind of disorients him as it flies around. And Nikki is able to use the distraction.
Is that Boobs McGee down there?
That's no, Nikki is the flame-haired girl.
Oh, okay.
Uses it to get in and get some shots in on Taserface. But Yondu is hit by one of the beams that she's shooting. And so Vance Astro's down, Yondu's hurt, so 2 of the Guardians are down, and Martin X is pleading with Alita to let Starhawk come, like he's the fighter, like let Starhawk come, like we need him. And Alita's like, no. And Martin X is like, please, I know it's painful for you, but both Vance and Yondu are down. Like, we need help. And
this is, you know what the problem with this is?
Yeah.
It's silly, number one, but
a lot of stuff.
It's overly complicated.
Well,
there's too much.
It's because they're using all the canon to make it.
There's too many words. There's too much.
I'm trying to give
weird
you
action.
The synopsis.
No, go for it. You're good. I'm just saying it's this is what
don't worry.
Strikes me.
This is just the first option of the 3 that we're going to cover.
I get
more
it.
Of.
Yeah. I get it.
I'll tease what we have coming up the next week's at the end so you can know.
It's a wrap.
But Starhawk appears, and Starhawk catches a beam right to his chest that sends him flying back.
You know, he looks like the Tick's sidekick.
Arthur?
He looks like Arthur, the moth.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It says a beam of deadly electromagnetic energy emits from the alien's face, and the one who knows is sent reeling with the brunt of its force. Remember, he's the one.
Well, yeah, it's going to come from his face. He's Taserface.
That's true. And then it says, I'm tired of playing games with this guy. Martin X does. He goes, you want to play rough, Taserface? Okay, let's play real rough. And,
oh boy.
And Vance Astro goes, now you're talking, Marty.
Marty.
That is the most like menacing thing to hear.
Marty, the
if
right
I'm in a
angle,
bar
weird
fight
head.
and some guy goes, yeah, I'm about to kick your ass, and some just dude in the back goes, yeah, that's talking, Marty. Like, it just kind of, no disrespect, but it kind of kills it a little bit.
Oh, Marty.
Yeah, you can do it, Marty. It's what essentially he's doing.
Yeah, you can do it.
So he shoots his ice hand forward, not his heat hand.
Not his heat hand.
He thought he was going to heat hand, but no, he did the ice hand forward.
This hand, I shoot ice.
And he
this
freezes.
Makes $5,000 a night.
And they freeze. They freeze the alien's head. So he can't breathe. Like, there's a block of ice around him. He's suffocating, right? So then what happens? Oh, Vance Major. I keep wanting to call him Vance Joy, but that's a band or an artist. Vance Astro shoots his telekinesis ray out, or his psychokinetic energy surges directly into the alien's brain, effectively cutting off crucial synapses as it does. And Taserface falls. So essentially, I'm thinking they just killed Taserface right
Sure.
there.
Yeah. And then the guy from Inspector Gadget is down at the bottom working the computer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're like, oh, field unit number 17, codename Taserface, is down, Your Excellency.
Field unit 17.
And they're like, all right, let's turn around and go back. This could be something. And so when they turn around, they head back, and they're all trying to lick their wounds and get up. And they're like, man, does anybody else think that this seems like I'm sorry, I'm trying to find where I'm at. Oh, are you all right? Like they check on Starhawk. He thinks he's okay. They notice, I don't know if it's come to it. Any idea, people? Like they're trying to figure out who this guy is then.
Yeah.
And then he looks at like a tough little sod. That's all I know. Oh, here it is. Major Vance Astro brings up his armor, his blasters.
Don't you dare not reference him by Major. Come on.
He sort of reminds me of Iron Man. And Nikki goes, the 20th Century Avenger? But that's impossible, isn't it? Like,
impossible.
How could an alien this far from Earth get Iron Man's technology? And they're like, I don't know, Nick, but I mean, I guess we'll just have to wake him up to see who he is.
You have a dude that can shoot fire out of one hand, ice out of the other hand. You got one that turns from a guy to a girl to a guy to a girl. You got one that's got a big flat ass head who has the strength of like 40 elephants or whatever the fuck it is. And then they're like, oh my God, how could Iron Man be here? Well, I think anything's possible, you idiots.
So,
no,
I love it. Off panel, we get, he's one of us, alien.
Okay.
And we get introduced to
the Stark.
And it says, make peace with whatever gods you worship, creatures. Your lives are forfeit for having the temerity to harm a member of the Stark. So essentially, this alien race has Tony Stark's technology.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 14 of these guys on this one friggin' page.
Yep. But that is where we end.
Much.
That is where we end issue 1 of 1990's Guardians of the Galaxy. One of the 3 comics you'll get to pick from this month of what we actually cover more of. Like I will cover
to the next one.
I will cover I'll give it like a good story arc. So like if we cover Guardians, if the Stark only ends on issue 2, then I'll read more. But if it's like a 4 or 5 issue arc, then we'll we'll cover an arc to dive into it more to see some crazy shenanigans. I will also tell you another one we have coming up, and I should make sure that they're both DC. One of them is called Scarlet. These are also both like double issues for number 1, so that's why they get their own. And it's about vampires, Mike. I'm trying to see. Well, I've already read issue 1. I just got to reread it. It's not as bad as that. I'm gonna see if I can find just brief synopsis, but they don't. But yeah, we have one called Scarlet that's about vampires and vampire hunters, and we're also going to cover one called Cops. And
excuse me, just Cops?
Yeah. I'm seeing if I can pull up a cover to show you
Caps.
that. We'll probably do Cops next week.
Look
and then
Caps.
Close out with
some Caps.
It doesn't I think it stands for something, but I don't remember what it is. But yep.
Cybernetic.
Yes, it is something like that.
Something Patrol.
Issue 1's called Bad Vibes.
Bad vibes.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Anyway, we got Cops next week, and then we will have Scarlet, which involves vampires, week after that, and then we will vote and see what one we will cover. Probably come back in March or so and dive in more in that, because we got some really good serious stuff coming up. We're gonna do All-Star Batman.
This was not one
All-Star Batman. We've already done All-Star Batman and Robin. You can go back and listen to Aspar. It's not good. We're going to do All-Star Superman.
Yeah.
To get ready for the movie. Yep. So we'll do that before the movie comes out. We'll also do a Superman for all seasons before the movie comes out to quench our Superman thirst.
Yep.
I saw a script, Mike. We'll just talk real quick and then I'll close this out. Jason Momoa shared while smoking a cigar. The front of it just said "For Lobo's Eyes Only." And I did love the cover because it did say Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King and Billiquis Evelyn.
Very nice.
Even the artist got the credit there.
Very nice.
And then it was like script by, and I should give the woman credit. Of course, I can't remember now. Damn it.
We got plenty of time.
The fantastic script that she's written apparently. So
I am a
love
big fan of Momoa being.
I'm
Lobo.
ready for this. I think it's going to be fun. But so coming up on Wednesday, the Michael or the Enemy will join me and we will dive into some Lois Lane shenanigans when it comes to Superman. So make sure to join us then. Until then, make sure to check out Rogue Media Network and all the other great podcasts on the Rogue Media Network family of podcasts.
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
And until next time, stay safe, everybody.
Hey, golly, Con.
Pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network